amongst the Zimbabwean community are obvious. The very fact that we still are living in the deja vu of the Chabangu debacle, where just a random stranger off the streets just came about, wrote a letter, and the parliament, the speaker of the house read it, and it came to pass. It was just that simple. About a week or so, some members of parliament like Osalos had been sworn in and sworn into parliament, and then the following week they were recalled under very, very strange and bizarre circumstances. The parliament, the very same parliament where, when they were hosting SADC, they built, they constructed a new road and white elephants that were properties or whatever. Just we know the things that go through that parliament that are shameful, that are just bizarre, that are against the law of the country. But that is what we are seeing. So the very fact that the second reading of this bill will be done on the 18th of May makes it a very important day, for us to really also equally register our concerns, because we cannot trust the process, and we have very, very good reason to be in that position. So, what are we left with to do as citizens? We have to scream and cry out. It must be noted that when history is recorded, you know, we must have done something. We must put something on record to say that we were standing and crying out loud against this thing. So there is that significance for me as a citizen, is that we really need to get our ducks in a row insofar as speaking out and making sure that that day does not just go quietly. We must speak out. There must be a record in history that says somebody somewhere somehow said they were not happy with this and they spoke out. So, and that is what we intend to do.
Thank you very much, for that. Mofitadas, welcome to the space.
Greetings, Uncle. How are you?
No, 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 I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you, and thanks for everybody for coming through, including Chennai and Doug and the other guys coming to speak through. Thanks for this, Uncle.
Right. Thank you very much. Right. So, if you see, the other guys, you can add them, so that they'll come in and speak before we open, the floor to to the rest of the people. But yeah, I want to go to Dagi Kota. Kota. Recently, we witnessed events where you were violently confronted during the 90-day consultation period. Can you talk to me in terms of what happened, what that moment revealed about the state of tolerance for dissent, yeah, in Zimbabwe? And as people are contemplating the idea in public, consultation, over to you, sir.
Sure. Thanks so much, Uncle, for the question, and yeah, for hosting this really, really important space. To your question on the thousand people. Can you hear me? I got a
Well, yes, I
notification.
can hear you. It's only that I've muted myself so that there's no
Oh,
noise
okay.
that comes from
No,
my end.
perfect.
Yes.
That's fine. Yeah, in that the man who was holding the microphone, who was not on their, pre-approved list of people who they wanted to talk, was essentially assaulted by this group of violent men around the man carrying the microphone, who were essentially acting as bouncers to prevent anyone from speaking. So, some of this I captured on camera, and when it became clear that that they were totally bypassing. Sorry, I lost connection again there.
No, it's
Can
fine.
you
Yeah,
hear
I
me?
can. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It wasn't. It wasn't
When
much.
they
Yeah, right.
bypassed our section, it became clear that we were not going to get an opportunity to speak. So we started to leave. That's when this individual who's now been identified as Lakmo Gapa came and attacked me, grabbed my phone, and ran into the crowd. I then chased him into the crowd, and I managed to catch him. And I called to the crowd for assistance. And I think any Zimbabwean who knows, who's ever experienced something like this, if there's a thief and you shout to a crowd, thief, 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 in any normal scenario, the crowd will come to your assistance and actually, assist you to recover your stolen property. But not on this occasion. I was surrounded by this group of thugs who assaulted me, pushed me to the ground, and allowed Gapa and his accomplices to escape. So yeah, I mean and then I was subjected to verbal abuse after that, and thrown out of the venue, physically taken out of the venue. And this is what our parliament is putting forward as compliance with, I should emphasize, a legal requirement on them. In terms of section 328 of the constitution, they are legally required to hold these public hearings, and to ensure and to facilitate the participation of all members of the public in that in those public hearings, which Parliament completely and utterly failed to do. That is a matter of litigation, so the courts will be ruling on that. But we are still in that 90-day window, and that's, I think, the important thing for us to emphasize, and that's the significance of the 18th of May. So the 90-day window of public consultation comes to an end on 18 May. And so we still have time to make our submissions to Parliament. And on the 18th of May, or perhaps in the week that follows, the Minister of Justice, Ziyambi, is likely to introduce the bill into Parliament. And that's when Parliament will then begin to debate the bill. Throughout that process, we do need to continue raising our voice. And in particular, we need to be engaging our members of Parliament. So if you don't know who your member of Parliament is, you need to find out who that is. You can go to Parliament's website, find out who's your MP for your constituency, and engage them. Tell them what your view is on the bill, and make sure that you find out from them what is their position on the bill. Are they going to vote for it? Are they going to vote in favor of it or against it? And if they say they're going to vote in favor of it, and you are against it, you must make sure that you let them know that they are going against your will, against the will of their constituents. And then, of course, we need to be exercising our rights in terms of the Constitution to peacefully protest, to exercise that's in terms of Section 59, then also our Section 67 rights to participate individually or collectively in gatherings or groups, to support or challenge political causes or policies of government. Our Constitution gives us the right and gives us those legal protections to speak out on these things. Now, of course, we live in an authoritarian state, so we need to go into it with eyes wide open, knowing that if we are going to secure a better future for our nation, it is going to require sacrifice. It is going to require risk. But sometimes risk is right. Sometimes it is right to stand up in the face of those who wish to deprive us and our children of a future, and say, you know what, we're gonna speak out, even if it comes at a cost to me. And so that, I think, is what 18 May is all about. Not just in Zimbabwe, but all around the world, for people to creatively, peacefully, and but courageously make their voices heard, to clearly say that Zim says no.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. Just a follow-up, question, on that. Given the, what he have, talked about in terms of, the abuse, in terms of, what you experience. What do you think is the role of human rights organizations or international, legal bodies? What role do they have to play, especially in the documentation and responding to some of these, violations?
Yeah, so look, there's a huge an important role to play for for human rights organizations, both locally and internationally, and I think that those organizations have effectively discharged their mandates. Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights has been responding to people who have been detained. And I should emphasize, this is an important thing to note, is that Zim Lawyers for Human Rights represents people without fear or favor across the political spectrum. So they are even representing ZANU-PF members who have been detained. One guy who was detained, I think it was in Mutoko, for over a month because he spoke out against CAB3 within his political party. So the clampdown on people, sort of exercising their rights to freedom of expression is across the board, across the political spectrum. So, local human rights organizations have a role to play. International organizations have an important role to play, and we've seen that, especially in response to the assault against me. The International Bar Association issued a statement. But ultimately, it comes down to us. The future of our nation rests with us. So yes, there's an important role for these organizations to play, to respond, to support, to give solidarity. But ultimately, no one is coming to our rescue. We are our own liberators. And so the people of Zimbabwe need to come together and find that courage deep within us. We need to look to God to give us the courage that we need to overcome the current challenges that we are facing, and then we need to act. This level of darkness and evil which is pervading our land can only be stopped by God. But if we look throughout history, God has always worked through his people. He's always worked through people who are willing to courageously take action. And so that is who we need to be. We need to be a people who are not looking to others to rescue us, but to ourselves for the future of our nation.
Right. Thank you very much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, welcome to the space. I'm here having a conversation with Chennai, Dagikota. I'm still to be joined by a few others who are going to be speakers, tonight. And to the space, live. It is currently, streaming, right there. Mofu, I see. Is it? If you can introduce, the next speaker, please.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We also have ZCM Nap, so I'll bring him in as well. I just had a quick, oh, Doug has dropped. Okay. I just had a quick question to Doug, but I think while he comes back, I can maybe go to Chennai just for a quick one. So obviously, I think I understand that we're trying to get to another demonstration on the 18th of May. We had a demonstration at the Independence Day, 18th of April, and I do understand there was a little incident that
Thank you, Titus. So where can I even start? I think it in some ways carries on the theme of repression that was spoken about by Doug. And to be honest, I'm still even in shock over what happened. I just never imagined. So we were at the embassy getting ready for our protest. I think we were about an hour early, and what I've since found out is actually that the ambassador was had an independence address to the 5 or 6 people that we then saw, who were all wearing their orange t-shirts with ED, what something, Youth for ED or something. They had in their orange t-shirts they and their costumes with the Zimbabwe badge, a very kind of ZANU-PF outfits, and or Mnangagwa outfits, or both, I don't know. And so as we arrived, they had a small gathering there. We also had a small gathering there. And so we all started singing, and so we're singing what we're singing. And then they started kind of shouting at us, the usual ZANU-PF threatening language, of Pasune Mandu, of, you're going to see what we're going to do to you, and all of this. And then the next thing I remember is this guy is lifting his foot, in fact, and then stomping my toes. And obviously I just thought, come on, man, we can't here, in the middle of central London, you're really going to try and do this to me. And so I think that's the video that was then shot, that was doing the rounds, that people saw, of me just shouting at him as he was shouting at me, and me shouting at him back, and just telling him that, you don't do that, you don't push me, you don't treat me like that, that's not what we do. And so that's what happened. So it's quite sickening, if anything. It's quite sickening to think that this person that he doesn't know anything about me. He's also, mind you, separated from home like I am. We are both in foreign lands, and trust me, there is no Zimbabwean here, no matter how good a job they have, that doesn't experience that moment where they're like, what, I wish I could enjoy what I'm enjoying here. I was enjoying it back home. It's just nature, from east to west, like home is best, right? Everybody wants to be home. So the very fact that we are both in foreign lands, over for whatever reason, and this is how you would treat me as a mother, as a sister, as a really, it's still something quite shocking. And again, the very fact that these guys are so comfortable, because when the police came, the police spoke to both of us, and the police said to me that this guy, one of the guys who was there, who was with the ZANU-PF guys, works in the embassy. And I just thought to myself, like, it should not be like that, right? If you're working in the embassy, you are working for me as much as you are working for the next person, regardless of political or opposing views, whatever my opinions are. So for the embassy to so outrightly show that, in living in the UK, and I encourage Zimbabweans in other countries as well to really monitor and understand how their embassies are working, because then it's not an embassy if we don't have that service. If a whole person who is titled an ambassador can one day just wake up and say, I'm going to address 10, 15 people from ZANU-PF and call that an independence address for the Zimbabwean citizens living in the UK, then that is ridiculous and that fails. And that then leads me to what we are planning in terms of the 18th of May protest. So the last one, as you mentioned, Titus, on the 18th of May was happened on a Saturday, because that was just when the date fell, the Independence Day. It was very well attended. I must congratulate everybody that made an effort to attend. I can certainly say for that day, we had such a presence. We had even journalists that were going about their business really on the 18th of May. Now, this day, as we've already discussed, is significant in that it is the end of the 90-day period. And we, again, we've put together a petition which calls out the embassies, because we have not even had, even for 30 minutes, even a Zoom call to discuss with Zimbabweans that are living abroad. And yet, the Constitution, when it requires such public hearing, does not exclude the diaspora. We are Zimbabwean citizens. You read the budget statement, it clearly says diaspora remittances. It never leaves those two words out. So we are a recognized force. We are very much as Zimbabwean as the people in Zimbabwe. And yet, this consultation process has left us out. And so I have seen a petition that's doing the rounds. I encourage everybody to sign that petition to make sure that it is given the visibility it deserves. And I should hope that at the right time we will be able to carry that conversation forward in terms of how numbers, because we are saying that we exist in full force. We are keenly interested. There was a survey that was done by Transparency International a few years ago, and Zimbabwean diaspora actually came up top in terms of diaspora citizens that have a longing to return home. Zimbabweans are number one in that. Regardless of how long we've spent living where we are living in foreign lands, our desire remains that we want to go home. So this is important. And I think the very fact, if you also look at what is happening in the UK, we just had the elections last week. We saw that the Reform Party is gaining popularity. And we as diaspora, we need to think carefully about this, about realistically, how long are we going to be still residing in these foreign lands, given, the climate and what is happening there in terms of the social political climates abroad, whether you're talking about America, you're talking about South Africa, you're talking about the UK, things are changing. And so we have to remember that, as the saying goes, "Zivako akava." And if we don't participate and make our voices heard in terms of issues that are concerning the democratic discourse of our country and the governance of our country, then we are forgetting Kwatakava. And I fear that very soon we will be heading back and living in that mess, certainly, if not us, then our children. So I encourage us to really be motivated, to be active participant, where we are saying, guys, let's come together. This time we're going Monday 18th, the embassy will be opened. So it gives us another opportunity to cry out and to make our petitions and our representations known. So I think I'll pause there. I think maybe I overspoke
Yeah,
your
there's
question,
a thing.
Titus.
There's a report, that came through New Zimbabwe, where they're speaking about a leaked memo, where they're saying that there's a list of targeted diaspora activists that have been leaked thereby heightening tensions ahead of a planned demonstration scheduled for 15 and 18 May 2026 in several European cities. If this is anything to go with or to go by, it's being said that there are folks that are being targeted, those that are on WhatsApp and X on Facebook. But the main reason why this is happening is the concerns that this government has when it comes to foreign-based campaigners, because they are believing that we are coordinating international pressure. So there are fears that demonstrations outside embassies could attract wider media attention on the Mnangagwa administration and on this CAB3. So in a way, it is evidence, or it is being shown that whatever it is that is happening, on social media and on the ground in the diaspora, it's yielding, some fruits, because when this report comes out like this, and if it is true, it means that they are in panic mode, and therefore people should not even think twice about engaging in these activities. I know that there are names that have been put out there, several names of people in the diaspora saying ningi, 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 ningi. So many names, but it just goes on to show you the extent at which they're prepared to go in terms of wanting to stop people from participating in this CAB3 thing. And it's quite sad that they want to do this woman away. But the folks in the diaspora, you should give it to them and say, you know what, we don't care, we are here. But anyway, Tanai, do you want to respond to that, and then I'll ask Mofu to ask Dagi the question that he wants to ask him, and then we'll move on to the next speaker.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. We are seeing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how valid or truthful such lists are, because I can tell you that from when I've started that in the same period between the 18th and the 20th, there is the Global Partnership Conference that is being hosted by the British Foreign Affairs Office, which is seeing a gathering of foreign ministers and heads of states. So already that says that is a significant time, and the world will be watching, London and Westminster, and with what is happening. So already that sets a good stage for us. And we know that any oppressor anyway that hates embarrassment. I don't know. So like if you hate embarrassment that much, like just do the right thing, right? You'd think. But anyway. So there's that. And the very fact that we are seeing these kinds of responses show that these actions are important, they're significant. And so I want to encourage people, like, don't be discouraged, because sometimes you put out a petition or somebody puts out a petition, oh, what a petition. Those things are very important. They record in history what the Zimbabwean citizen was, where they were at in that moment, what their thoughts were, how they felt. So register onto a petition, put your name down, in terms of participating outside of the embassy and participating in the protest, the more of us that do that, the more significant the action. Because, they can write a list, but there's more than 200,000 Zimbabweans in the UK. There's no way they're going to have a hit list of 200,000 people, right? So the more of us that participate, we spread the risk to the point where it becomes negligible. So please, guys, come out. Let's come out in our numbers.
Right, over to you, Mof.
Awesome. No, thanks, Janai, for that. Guys, while we are on that one, please, can we repost the space? We've got quite a good number of people here, and I think we only have 15 reposts. Please, can we just share and repost the space to everyone? So, Dr. Ranga, I'm coming to you next. What I just wanted to ask Doug, obviously, Doug, I think you did a brilliant video earlier on. The one that I was just watching that before I came on the space. I think you explained very well on the delimitation there. But what I wanted to check with you, some people argue that, this parliamentary system, they exist in different democratic countries. So what makes Zimbabwe different? Is it more of the absence of independent institutions, checks and balance, credible delimitation? What is it that makes Zimbabwe different on this?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that question, and I have another video which will be coming out soon, probably tomorrow, on exactly this question, going into it in depth. So please do check that out. And it's partly answered by the first video that I put out. So for those who haven't seen it, the first video that I put out is basically explaining how CAB3 changes how we do delimitation, which is the drawing of constituency boundaries, and the implications of that for a free and fair election. And it goes to the heart of this question of the indirect election to the president, because the point that I want to make is that it's not inherently undemocratic to have an indirect election of the president. What is inherently undemocratic is the system that CAB3 institutes, whereby a completely undemocratic parliament, and a parliament which is unrepresentative of the people, then becomes the body that votes for the president. And so in the first video, I explain how CAB3 essentially gives all the power to the president to appoint a new commission, which they will call the Delimitation Commission, and then goes so that commission draws the constituency boundaries. And that video then seeks to demonstrate how, if you have non-independent delimitation, you can have a scenario where 30% of the vote translates into a majority in parliament, right? So then you have a parliament where a ruling party has a parliamentary majority, but they represent a minority of the population then voting for the president. That is undemocratic. And then there's three other things. The second thing is that the first past the post system is also problematic when it comes to really being a national representative of the whole country. South Africa, for example, has a proportional representation system of electing its parliament, as opposed to a first past the post system. Which means that parliament is a microcosm of South African society. So if 5% of the country support one party, they'll have 5% of the seats in parliament. If 40% support another party, they'll have 40% of the seats in parliament. So it then is reasonable for that parliament to then vote for the president. That's not the case in Zimbabwe. But then if you go deeper and you look at two other provisions of CAB3, you realize how fundamentally undemocratic our parliament will become post CAB3. And those two provisions are, one, the provision around traditional leaders, and number two, the provision which allows the president to appoint 10 unelected senators to the Senate. So let me just quickly unpack those. Currently our traditional leaders, there's a legal requirement on them to be non-partisan. Now we have 18 chiefs that sit in the Senate, and yes, traditionally they have often voted with ZANU-PF, and that is not how it should be, but that's how yes, it's been in practice. But the fact that they have that requirement that they have to be non-partisan is actually a protection for the chiefs. And people forget that it was actually the chiefs during the COPAC process. It was the chiefs that advocated for the inclusion of that provision that chiefs are meant to be non-partisan, which makes perfect sense because they play that sort of judicial role within communities. You don't want someone who is a party politician, resolving disputes in parliament. In the communities. But it also has a big impact on the role of chiefs in the Senate, because once you remove the requirement that chiefs have to be non-partisan, they then basically are political functionaries of their appointing authority, which is who? The president, right? So the president essentially has 18 senators who are under his control before a single vote is cast. Now you add to that an additional 10 unelected senators who are appointed by the president. It means the president now has 28 senators before even a single vote is cast. That means for the president's party to control the Senate, all he needs is an additional 18 senators. In order to obtain an additional 18 senators, the president's party just needs to get 30% of the vote in the National Assembly elections, which translates to 18 senators in the Senate, meaning that with 30% of the vote, the ruling party would control 50%, more than 50% of the Senate. Now it's this undemocratic parliament, parliament being, of course, the Senate and the National Assembly combined, which then is the one that is going to elect the president. This is an undemocratic parliament which the ruling party can retain control of with only 30% of the vote. So the point is simply to make is that it's not that that an indirect election is undemocratic per se, but the whole system of electing the president in CAB3 is fundamentally undemocratic. Then there's I know I've been talking long, but if I can just add two more points, which are extremely worrying about our system of or the proposed system of electing the president. There's a clause in there. If you check, it's what there would be the new section 92 subsection 6. And that clause makes it clear that the person who's elected president doesn't even need to have been elected as a member of parliament. So you could have a scenario where someone is rejected by their own party during primary elections, or someone is rejected by their own constituents trying to become an MP, who literally has zero mandate from the people, becoming the president. Literally anyone could just become the president out of the blue, and all they need to do is convince 186 members of parliament to vote for them. Now, this is extremely worrying in an environment where our politics is already saturated with money, where we recently had a situation where Wicknell was saying that you can give more than $3 million to members of parliament. And now we are going to create an electoral system where 186 people can determine who becomes president. It just becomes a scenario where someone can buy 186 MPs a nicer vehicle than the next guy, and they become president. And then, why do I say 186? Because that's half. That's a simple majority of a joint sitting of the Senate and the National Assembly. And then the second worrying provision is that CAB3 makes it clear that that system of electing the president does not even require a secret ballot for MPs. So what it means is that someone who has prepaid to buy the presidency can actually monitor the MPs to see whether they vote for them or not, and there can be repercussions for those MPs that don't vote according to those who would have prepaid to become the president. So this system of electing the president just essentially entrenches what we might call kleptocracy, the rule by thieves, because this is a system where the most corrupt members of society can essentially easily buy power simply through corrupting a mere 186 members of parliament. So all of that to say that this this electoral system, it's not simply just about the fact that it's an indirect election. It's everything else that's packed in around it as well.
No, thank you for breaking it that way, Doug. Right. Can I quickly move on to ZCMNAP? I believe it's Dr. Ranga on there. Dr. Ranga, if you could just quickly introduce yourself. And my question to you as you put your submission, why is this fight important for people that are in diaspora? Obviously, most of the people maybe here on X and different located in different places. Why is it important that we get involved in this fight against CAB3? ZCM NAP, you can come through.
Oh, thank you so much, my brother Titus. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on the space. I'm one of the citizens. I'm a Zimbabwean. That's really my main qualification here, is obviously in the diaspora. And hello, Uncle Jed, my brother Coltat, and my sister Chennai, and everybody else who is here on the space. It's very important that as Zimbabweans, we talk about this. And I think I should address your question, my brother Titus, about why is this important for us Zimbabweans in the diaspora. I think that my sister Chennai kind of answered the question already. We were never consulted. When it comes to how our economy is doing in Zimbabwe, the diaspora is in the picture. You talk of remittances, which are over, let's just say conservatively, over $2 billion a year. And our national budget is around, it's less than $4 billion a year. So when you talk of Zimbabweans in the diaspora, you're talking of Zimbabwe itself. Because not only because of the remittances, but because a good percentage of our population lives in the diaspora, whether it be in the United Kingdom, the United States, South Africa, Namibia, you name it, we are all over the map. And that is why a lot of us in the diaspora, Zimbabweans in the diaspora, are saying no. I know the hashtag here is Zimbabwe says no, Zim says no. We're saying no because we as Zimbabweans, we are at a point where we are very tired. We are very tired of subsidizing our own government. So when you see nurses on strike because they are being given $20 as an allowance a year, a month, and they are saying that is not enough, the cost of living is going up, the buck will stop with Zimbabweans in the diaspora who have left home despite the many skills they have. We think that giving ZANU-PF another 2 years after 46 years is not going to do us any better. I don't think that is the solution. And that is why most of us are out here in the diaspora, because we realized if we stay at home, some of us were born after 1980. As we celebrated 46 years of independence as a nation. And we decided that if we stayed in Zimbabwe, we would never see a paycheck. Or even when we work, some of us, myself, I'm a physician. I was looking at my pay slip way back then when I decided to leave the country. And I realized that, well, I won't be able to fend for my family if I stayed in Zimbabwe. So my idea then was just live for 2 years, go raise a little bit of money in the diaspora and come back home. At this rate, we will never come back home. So I think that there are many reasons that Zimbabweans are pointing to, besides just the idea that we were never consulted, even though we are such a big constituency of Zimbabweans, that the governing party would not take time to talk to us as citizens. I will just list a few things that we diasporans in Zimbabweans in the diaspora can take, because that's what's important. The buck will stop with us, the Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabweans in Botswana, in South Africa, in the USA. These are the actions we can do as citizens. Sign the petition. Sister Chennai talked about a petition out there. Join protests, peaceful protests, which is our right as Zimbabwean, Section 59 in Zimbabwe, and also in the diaspora. How do you do protests in the diaspora? There are meetings, there are protests that were arranged at the embassy in the UK. There are protests that are happening across the globe, wherever you are as a Zimbabwean. So protest in person, protest online. There is a hashtag or hashtags that are trending. Zimbabweans are saying no, or Zimbabwe says no, Zim says no, no to CAB3, and you list your reasons there, put your picture there. That's one way, because we need to keep a record to say we were against this. We thought this was a very bad idea. It should never have happened. Parliamentarians cannot choose how long they want to stay in office. It should not be like that. the same for the cabinet. So I can speak to many issues, but I wanted to talk more about what we can do as citizens. So for those in Zimbabwe, talk to your member of parliament, talk to your senator, tell them why you think this is a bad idea. We think it's a bad idea because the economy is not going to suddenly be resuscitated in the 2 years that ZANU-PF is asking for. It's not going to do that. So if you are a Zimbabwean and you don't have a job, this fight is for you. If you are a Zimbabwean and you work as a teacher, as a nurse, as a civil servant somewhere, and your salary is not able to pay your rent, this is your fight too. Because ZANU-PF is not fighting for you. They are fighting for their stay in office. And we have seen videos lately of some of the presidential advisors and splashing money around while civil servants are struggling to make a living. I will just end it there, my brother Titus. I know I can talk forever. I'm a citizen. I have so much to say. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for that, my brother there. Right, I want to quickly go to ONGAB. ONGAB, I hope you're okay. Just a quick question I want to ask you to the young people that are listening tonight. Obviously, what do you think happens, to that national identity, the patriotism, when citizens just begin to feel that, their voice doesn't matter anymore, it's no longer meaningful, it doesn't bring any change?
0 to 20.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I think somebody's mic is on.
2, 4, 6.
Right. So, ONGAB, as you take the mic, I just want you to what message do you have also to the young people that are listening?
Yeah, thank you so much, Titus. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. So, basically, what's really happening here with what ZANU-PF is trying to do is to continue to quieten us and remove us to the things that actually make our country, the decision making. We continue to be disenfranchised. We used to just be cheated at elections and say, oh, you have voted, there's so many people in the rural areas, people in towns, you don't count, so you can't complain and all of these things. And then they bring the police and the army. But now, even that facade is being removed. To say, oh, we don't even need to talk to you. We'll talk to a few people and then we'll decide where we want to go. And we cannot continue to be quiet about it, particularly the people who are outside of the country. Because for long, people in the diaspora had been pushing that the people in Zimbabwe need to do something about it. But sometimes we all do appreciate how it can be scary and frightening. And then you are outside and with so many freedoms that you don't exercise. So what is our excuse now? To speak out, to post on social media with the hashtag that everybody is posting with. What is our excuse to attend some of these protests? I was also heartbroken when I saw the people that Chennai was talking about at the last protest. Majority of them are embassy workers who were out there clad in ZANU-PF regalia, singing ZANU-PF songs to distract a citizens' protest or people who want to voice out what they don't agree with what the government is doing. So people who we pay with monies that we contribute, if they were the city to actually come and confront and say, you can't be doing that, if you do that, you are going to see it. Like, we really need to open our eyes to some of our realities, and our reality as a country is a third one. Like, we cannot continue. I can imagine back in the day before the first Chimrenga. I'm sure when it happened, a few people did have the consciousness of understanding what was happening. And we might be at the same situation now, that people are talking about the oppressiveness of ZANU-PF, and others just say, oh no, they are just evil, let them do what they are doing, I can leave the country and do what I want. But sometimes we just need to wake up as a people and unite and speak. Yes, we have our differences, but at certain things, we cannot just keep quiet. So I'm just encouraging people, one, to use the hashtag Zimbabwe says no, and say what you say no to, particularly the unconstitutional constitutional amendment number 3, and all the other things that have been happening. If we do that, all of us, by the time we get to the 18th, this hashtag should be known all over the world that Zimbabweans are speaking out about something. But at the moment, it's very few people who are engaging in these things. You can easily just go and search on your Twitter here, the hashtag Zimbabwe says no or Zim says no, and then like and repost all of the posts that you see there. That is also participation. And we cannot fight a fight without really knowing what's really happening. We really need to educate ourselves. There is so much information. I just want to give a shout out to Scotty, who has been giving us platform for us to have great discussions at length. People have been gathering overnight discussing about these things. Shout out again to Zeti and Masi, who have been educating us on resistance. Because, we think we can just wake up and say an oppressive regime, we have so much monetary wise to defend their position in government, are just going to wake up, give us just laws in parliament, give us fair elections so that what we can vote them out. We need to understand how to resist a beast like that. It is a beast and it is very forceful. And if we don't unite and understand the power that we have, we are not going to win this war. Our kids and our grandkids are going to ask us, how did it so happen that now, of course, I grew up or I was born in the UK, and these Green Party people are telling me, in as much as I'm settled here, no, I need to go back. Go back where? I don't even know this country. You've never said anything to me. Mom, Dad, what were you doing? What were you up to? They were like, oh, there was this guy Mnangagwa, he was evil, he started it, and Mugabe. You were like, no, you are the responsible authority here. So if we don't understand this fight that we are in, you can't even explain it to your wife. You can't explain it to your husband. You can't explain it to your brothers, your sisters when you're doing summer brides this summer. That's just, yeah. We can't be all just be dancing to Praise and Winky D and not even conscientize each other of the troubles that we are getting into because of SANPF and its ambitions. But yeah, I might talk too much. There's a post that I shared on how what ZANU-PF is doing has never been done by any government in the world. So many people, particularly in Africa, there's so many governments or leaders that have tried to extend their rule, do this, but they did it over time. They did it. It took almost 10 to 12 years to get to the position where he is now. Mnangagwa just wants to do it overnight by a bill that is proposed in February. In May, Kumbaya, in May, we are already celebrating it's done. It has never been done where people bring 21 things all together and say, Parliament is just going to decide. You don't even have a voice. If you come out and say what you want, we are going to actually bring all the might that we have against you. So we need to understand these things. We need to read at length. We need to share, study. We can have debates about it, but we really need to learn. We cannot fight this with blinkers or blindfolds, not knowing what's really happening to us. I think I will rest it there.
Right. Thank you so much for that. My brother there on CAB. Right. I had a conversation yesterday with Marcy. I think she said something profound in terms of communication. What has happened previously is that when demonstrations or things are happening in Zimbabwe, we're always communicating with our people that are back home to say, be involved. You should be participating. Do not just be spectators. And she said something that now, the tables have turned. People that are back home should actually be reaching out to you, people that are in diaspora, to say, listen, there's a protest that is happening in London. Why don't you get involved? I'm here in Zimbabwe and I'm not able to protest, but you are there in Europe where you can be able to go to your embassy. You can be able to represent our voices that we are not able to speak or communicate. So I think it's a challenge to the people that are on the ground as well. Say, if you've got your relatives, say, that are here, that are in diaspora in different countries, please challenge them as well to say, you know what, you guys are not able to do that. Why can you not go and take part in these protests that are happening? Because they'll be able to say whatever they wanted to say that they cannot say. You'll be representing them. So I thought that was something very profound that Mas was communicating there. But what I want to do is I want to move on to before I actually move on to Ru, Owen Chari, and JT. JT, did you have something that you wanted to say quick?
Yes, my brother. Thank you. I just want to encourage, like what just to reiterate what Ongabe said, that if you sometimes protest, it doesn't mean you have to go on the street. I get angry sometimes when we have these very profound spaces, and when we ask people to retweet, they don't. We only have 27, or the Uncle Jedo now Titus, if I'm not mistaken, if you check on the numbers. But we've got over 256 people here. We want to spread the message. We want people that follow you see this space and come, people that are not even Zimbabweans. So the power of algorithms, guys, we really need to start thinking about this if we want to spread things like this. I've been to some spaces, Kenyans, South Africans, they have about 1,000 people. The moment they get in there, I attend these spaces because once they read with someone that I follow, even someone, it just appears on my timeline and I'm like, what's this space? I click there, I'm listening. Just because of the power of retweet. So maybe our people don't know it. It's free, guys, to retweet. Maybe we need to come to spaces now to say, if you're going to retweet, we'll give you $100 or $50. Maybe people might start to want to, because it appears everything in Zimbabwe, it needs to be paid. But it's free, guys. It's free. Retweet the space. We can't have 256 people or 300 listening to this space and have 20 retweets. What are you doing? What's so difficult to just click that retweet so that you share it, others see the space? So please, guys, please, before the end of this space, let's retweet. Otherwise, Uncle, and we don't pay you, Uncle Titus there, my brother. The only thing that we can do for you to appreciate what you are doing is retweet the space so that it gets a wider reach. Even some people tomorrow, they can follow it. So that's what I wanted to say. And also my brother Douglas there. Thank you, Dougie, for everything that you're doing. We are seeing it. And if we can't be there on the street with you holding that banner, the banner that we can hold is to retweet the space here and support everything that you are doing and to spread the message there with my sister there, Chennai. So please, guys, before the end of the space, we would want to say 100, unless you are ZANU-PF. I don't expect a ZANU-PF member to retweet this space. Thank you.
Also, the
Thanks,
post
my
that
brother.
Titus put up there on the Jumbotron, it's sitting on 91 retweets. When we started, it was on 90. Only one person is out of the 200 or whatever who are here. Can we also put that out so that people know about it and people can attend? Some people will have an excuse. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, this is happening. No, let's share so that people can know and then they can plan and be there.
All right, awesome. No, thank you for that.
Thanks, Titus, and let's not forget the guest to come in and answer this question. But I also just wanted to say, if some of these people, now we know, if we are going to public gatherings, they would want to speak to you behind the scenes in terms of protecting phones, banner phones, and that not taking with things that happen to you. I was quite upset about it, but there are measures that we could put into place too, so we can communicate in the DMs. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Sure. Thanks so much, my brother.
Right, thanks for that. So before I go to Ru, Doug, I've got just a question in my inbox. In terms of where we are at this current juncture, what roles do you think the churches, the different artists, civic groups, what roles can they play? Even the unions, looking at where we are at the moment. I think this is just a quick question to Doug.
Sure, it's a very powerful question because I really believe that is where real change will come. We are now at a stage where churches, civic groups, unions really need to be taking the fore. And we have seen the church taking leadership on this CAB3 thing. The Zimbabwe Council of Churches submitted a very comprehensive submission to Parliament. If you haven't read it, go and take a look at it. It's more than 20 pages. The Catholic Bishops' Conference has been very vocal as well, but I think we need to see that translating into from speaking, which is important, translating into action, nonviolent action on the ground. We see examples of this from history and from the region. When Kabila sought to extend his term of office in the DRC, it was the Catholic Church that actually took him head on, and Catholic churches were being used, like literally the parish was being used to train people on nonviolent protests, and then the church would march, carrying their crosses, etc., through the streets in DRC. That played a huge role, and of course, other civic groups in DRC played a huge role. Groups like Lucha were having almost daily peaceful protests against the extension of the term limit, and they successfully defeated that. They defeated Kabila's attempt to extend his term. Of course, Kabila then pulled some funny shenanigans in order to get Tshisekedi there now. So DRC still has big challenges. The struggle continues, but it's a powerful example of how civic groups, unions, churches put a stop to an attempt to extend a term of office. That we see the same in Malawi. It should be around the early 2000s, where civic groups, churches, etc., took action on the streets, on the ground, and that's what that was the game changer there. We saw the same even in Zambia when this would have been probably in the 90s. I would have to double check that, but there was an attempt to take an extra third term, and these civic groups on the ground played a powerful role. This is how you raise the political cost of this type of kind of greedy politicking by politicians, for when we actually are able to move from words to actions. So that's what I would love to see from churches and civic groups over the weeks over the week ahead and in the weeks to come. And even if it goes through, we are going to need these groups, churches, civic groups, unions are going to become a really critical role in holding the government to account and demanding reform. And the reason for this is this, and people need to understand me clearly on this. If CAB3 goes through, the route to the electoral transition will be closed, because if you were listening to me earlier, essentially ZANU would only need to obtain about 30% of the vote at the election in order to retain power, right? So the route to democratic transition then is going to be in civic groups, churches, unions, etc., demanding the reform, demanding the opening of democratic space, demanding the reversal of the democratic regression that we have seen. And so I think that the role of those groups is going to become all the more important in the weeks, months, and years to come.
Thank you very much for that, Doug. Right, can I move on to Ru?
Thanks, Titus. Yeah, I have an audience here that's wanting to resist. But hi, everyone. It's really good to hear what everyone is saying in regards to the campaign. Zimbabwe says no. I definitely think that this is a time right now where everyone has said this, we all need to be coming together and, championing the same message. And I think one of the key things that I've been thinking about in all of this is that the more that we can be talking about this in repetition, the better. And I mean, you see ZANU-PF doing this all the time. They're always chanting the same message, the same mantra. There's definitely power in that. Repetition is really important. So we will keep on just encouraging everyone, reshare, reshare, reshare. Ongab touched on this. Go onto the hashtag Zim says no and make sure that you're engaging. We have different events that are coming up. So today's space, tomorrow there's a TikTok live. So go over onto TikTok, jump onto the panel. Let's have discussions on this, and more information will be coming on this. So I just wanted to start off with that, and thank you to everyone who's already been engaging, sharing, and let's just make sure that in the lead up to the 18th, that these are the things that we are pushing forth. Now, I really do think that whatever happens on the 18th, let's remember that what we're doing right now, we don't plan to stop, because we understand that we have been under oppression for as long as we can all remember. And because we have been under oppression, it means that we have to apply pressure. And I am more motivated now more than ever. You know, I kind of wear it as a badge of honor now that being a new mom, I think about my son and I think, actually, is he going to grow up in an environment where it feels alien to go back home? I'm constantly speaking to him in English. And I'm like, no, actually, learn Shona. This is Shona. Like, you have to know how to speak the language. You have to know where you come from. And I feel being in the diaspora, I was served, it's almost like a disservice to me, because I know how rich our ground is. I know how rich our land is. And so my heart is not only for us, but for our children. I think that we have a responsibility here to make sure that whatever small or big actions that we take, we are doing that with consistency, because over time, that is going to be powerful. I've often spoken about this, and I hope that we really grasp it, which is this. Every power, even when you look in history, there's been empires that have risen and fallen. We are now seeing, especially when you study the life cycle of power, we are now seeing that ZANU-PF is coming to the 50 mark, where either they're supposed to collapse or reinvent themselves. So what you see right now is the efforts of ZANU-PF wanting to reinvent themselves. And so we have to make a decision. Will we allow that to succeed, or are we going to step in and make sure that, no, this is now time for a new Zimbabwe to come. This is now time for new leadership to rise, wherever it might come from. And it might not even be the individuals that we know, but we now need to make sure that we're fighting to liberate Zimbabwe altogether. And so, yes, we're pushing towards making sure that the reading of the bill on the 18th does not succeed. But not only that, we need to make sure that even past the 18th, we are creating an environment where every single day we are doing some sort of action, not only on X, but on WhatsApp, on TikTok, on YouTube, having the same message, which is Zimbabwe says no to oppression. Zimbabwe says no to corruption. Zimbabwe says no to the prostitution of politicians who are constantly prostituting themselves to say, oh, I'll do the bidding of whoever is paying the most. We see what's currently going on with the case with Wicknell, and I think that that should serve as an alarm for many of these other criminals, that they're not untouchable. And so I do believe that there is this is now the time, actually, as Zimbabweans, we have to know that the Constitution is for us. It is our power. And constantly educating ourselves. I'm constantly educating myself. There's so much more that I don't know. But what I do know is that it is time. And so I just encourage all of us and myself that throughout this week, please be engaging with a lot of the campaign. Zimbabwe says no, hashtag Zim says no. Please engage with the placards. If you see somebody who's posted an image where they're holding a placard, make a request to have yours done. Make a request for your family members to have theirs done, and we'll be resharing that.
go onto the platforms, re-listen to this space, reshare this space as well in WhatsApp groups. If you've got skills to make short form videos and content, don't think that because so and so is an influencer and they've got this many views, so I shouldn't. No, however many views you have, speak to them, share the content. And so do as much as you can, or as little as you can. Honestly, just do what you can to make sure that we are taking over the algorithm, spreading the message, making it so that it's well known, so that our neighbors will know themselves, Kuti, Zimbabwe is saying no. They'll be like, what is Zimbabwe saying no to? What is Zimbabwe saying no to? We're just saying no to Raka Raka. That's just happening in our country. We're saying no to ZANU PF. And I think that message has to go far and wide and has to be remembered in history. So I'll end there for now.
Thanks very much, Ru. Thank you for that. And just on the spirit of conscientizing different platforms, I think Ru and others will be doing a TikTok. I think it will be with Change Radio as well. So there's also a TikTok. I don't know. You don't call them spaces on TikTok. I mean, not but
My TikTok live.
TikTok live. So there will be a TikTok live as well. So if maybe you can just share the information, maybe in the comments or somewhere, so that people can actually join, because we know that different platforms have got different audiences and different, age groups and stuff like that. So trying to reach out to all different platforms. So that includes TikTok, that includes Facebook, that includes YouTube. So this week, I was just trying to intensify that. So if you can contribute, if you can do something, even if it's a WhatsApp video, guys, that you can do just to do your protest. I know Doug, you once did this thing whereby individuals just, did a video, whether they are blocking their faces or not. But the idea is for you guys to participate. We need people to participate. It's not something that we need to come off from talking into action, as they say. So everybody, your participation matters. But anyway, Uncle Jed, I think we've got Owen Chari, we've got ZHRO, we've got Freelance and Imdaraji. So they haven't spoken. So maybe we can go to Chari next.
Yes, fine, yeah. Go and take the mic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ango Gerard. Mwafu mkono murise. Andize kuti Dagi imofu futere abadini ngemofe mkono. Dagatiza.
You can ask him.
Dagi uri mofe mkono. Oh, he's gone. Anyway, okay, fine. Ango Gerard na Moftatas and all Zimbabweans here at large. Myself, I just want to say to ourselves, this struggle that we have, we should not engage in it as part-time. Do you know that if you are a good soccer player, you are known as Mkomana notamba bhora. If you're a driver, turakuenda pamba pa-driver, tikutsvaga pamba pa-driver. Kana uri a womanizer, zonzi uyu mukadzi abvire. What are you known for? If you are not referred to, or if you don't have stereotypes of being an activist, it means you are not yet in the struggle. You are not very strong. You are still taking the struggle and activism as part-time. You are not wearing the jersey of resistance. Ango Gerald, non-violent resistance has 198 tried and used methods. If you read in Jean Sharp book, those methods, if we master them, ZANU-PF will not last for 2 weeks. It will never last up to a month. So I want to ask each and everyone here, out of 198 methods of nonviolent resistance, how many do you know of? In Zimbabwe, the popular one is going on the street to protest. It's just one out of 198. If you talk of reposting, it's just one out of 198 methods of resistance. Retweeting, painting of roads, defiances. We have so many of them. If we come together as Zimbabweans. So now, why am I saying it should not be like party time? A lot of people, they say, we've been under ZANU-PF terrain for 47 years, but our resistance is disjoined, it's not joined. We cannot trace from those ones who were fighting when we're not there and say, the Joshua Ngomos, they end here, and a new generation took over, and it is joined here and it is connected. We are so much disjoined. We cannot have a continuation in resisting because we are reactive. We are not proactive. We wait for ZANU-PF to do something for us to gather together and start the fight and take over again. We'll be starting from some steps ahead of us, forgetting the other steps. And then when the rope is disjoined, we are always starting afresh. Where did Morgan Tsvangirai left it from? We forget about it. We start another one. We continue. The enemy that we are fighting is joined. They've been oppressing us. They never stopped. They only change tactics and methods, and they're still doing it. When they bring this in, right now we are talking of CAB3. Their next feast to us, the next blow to us is already cooking somewhere. We are always behind them. After this CAB3, what is going to happen? Nobody's planning for future. Nobody. Not even any one of us here. Right? CAB3 is gone. If they say we are going to give you a referendum, are you ready for a referendum? If they say, okay, fine, we no longer having CAB3, but we are going to do this, are we ready for their future plans? We should not be pushed around. Let's focus on removing ZANU-PF. Because the only big elephant that we have here is ZANU-PF. They can bring different tactics, different things to us and confuse us. Who do your people where you come from know you for? What is there on your timeline, on your Facebook? When you go to their funerals as family, what do they say? That people who doesn't eat pork. They will say, Gerald adye pork, musamupakurire. Or when anwe tine sugar, musamisire sugar. Freelance anema houses, musamupakurire sads. They're known for that. What are you known for? You, yourself. If a resistor, what are you known for? What do your people know you for? Before we even come to this space, before we even go anywhere else, your immediate family, your connections, how do they? That's where we need to work out our own resisting position there. Do people who support ZANU-PF say it willingly in your presence, or they'll say, don't say this guy is not kutengerwa doro panapa on gaba aite zvezANU-PF. It means you are not a part-time resistor. You don't say, no, today I just want to eat pork because it is ham, because it is nicely cooked. It is being served from a hotel. That's how we do it with resistance. Do you know the effective of resistance is not when somebody is pushing you or asking you to repost. The effectiveness of a resistor is when resistance is coming from inside you, when it is part of your blood, part of your soul, part of your thinking, when you are dreaming of it each and every time, when you don't wait for Uncle Gerald to start a space to only you here. No. Do you know that we come here as going to church? You don't pray because it's on a Sunday. You say, during the week I'm doing whatever I'm doing, but on Sunday I'll be holier than thou. Resistance is when you are drinking coffee, when you are eating sada, or when you are eating spaghetti. I don't care. That's where resistance is. You resist every time when you wake up, when you take your bath, when you take your shower. What are you thinking of? Do you open your phone and you say, I'm waiting for Scotty to start a space? Scotty is doing his part. What are you doing yourself? Where do we trace you? What have you done today? I want to ask any one of us here. How many people did you reach out to teach them about resistance? Do you think when Liberation War was fought, people were just waking up, going to Mozambique? No, it was not like that. It took years for people to be conscientized about resistance. But here we just want to be going about vending, selling mangoes on the streets, and then we say, come on, Zimbabweans, let's resist now. No. There is a lot of teaching that needs to be done. There's a lot of spreading of this gospel that needs to be done. Whether ZANU-PF has given us CAB3 or not, whether ZANU-PF is quiet or not, whether ZANU-PF is killing us. My sister Chengetai, don't worry about a list. People will say, you're on the list. That's ZANU-PF propaganda.
Chennai,
We
you
need
mean?
to... Sorry?
Ndati Chennai, Matichengetai.
Oh, no, my sister Chennai. Sorry. Chennai, I know Chennai. She's the finance minister here. I know her. So, guys, we will never win until everybody is on us, is with us. We will not win this struggle. Do you know that it is important and it is very effective to leave this CAB3 to go through and teach people to resist? Because even if it goes through on the 18th, I'm not saying let's leave it. I'm just saying, even if it goes through on the 18th and the Zimbabweans in their numbers have got enough education to resist ZANU-PF, ZANU-PF will not last a month. Can you imagine in Mpakose, people are resisting. In Mpakose, they are using maybe number 15 of the 15th method out of the 198. which the police is not aware of or familiar with. And then in Nembudzia, they're using number 198 method of non-resistant, non-violent resistance. Guys, Zimbabwe will be ungovernable without violence. We'll be just resisting. People will forget about getting hungry. People will forget about going on the streets to sell whatever their wares to look for money to put sada on the table. Do you think when the war vets were going to war, they did not go there with clothes? They didn't even know what they were going to eat. They didn't even know whether they were going to eat snake or what, or eat fruits from wild. Because they had enough information in them. They were conscientized enough. When we conscientize enough of our people, everything will follow suit easily. It will be so easy. Because I will not pull rule by a hand to say, come and resist. I will not say, rule, why are you seated and relaxed right now doing your barbecue? She will say, no. Because of the problem that I have, I need to do this. Because of this that I have, you will be understanding it from inside. I always say, people, to be a supporter of anything it does not come from the regalia that you are wearing. If you are known to be a supporter of something by a regalia, you are a hypocrite. But it has to come from your inside, the interior, the inner man. And you'll be able to influence around you. If you drop tint in water, if it is blue, that water will tend to be blue. That's what we should do. If a resistor is somewhere, everybody there, he becomes a resistor. I was put in detention here in America. Out of 56 people, only 6 people could speak English. The rest were speaking Spanish and other languages. But I managed to convince them to resist. So it's not even in a language. It's not even in your eloquence. It's not even in understanding your any culture. It is the resistance that is in you that can influence things around you and situations around you. That's what we need to do. That's where our power is. Did you see Dagi Kotat? He was having a placard by himself. But the message has gone far and wide. He did not say, I want to have 10 people so that we formulate a group so that we will feel strong and feel safe. He did it by himself. And also, if you are working, you have to publicize these things. Publishing what we are doing is very important. Some of us, we do things silently and it's not communicated out there. We have radios, we have Change Radio, we have Resistant Radio, we have got platforms, TikTok. Send it to Rouge, we've got a platform. Send it to people who've got followings. Whatever that you are doing. Talk to people who are on the ground, Zinazu people. Talk to churches. Talk to Zimbabweans who are on the ground. Talk to your relatives. And publicize these things, guys. We should not stop because CAB3 is gone. Hazvisi zvefashion kuti ndechipi chiri kupisa mazuva ano. Resistance is not about fashion. That's why if you go and visit all the resistance methods, they are all old-fashioned, but they speak to today. They were used a long time ago, but they're still effective even today. We heard Dagi was saying Kabila could not continue because of resistance. If we employ that, Mnangagwa will not last. If we employ that, no government, no regime will last. But panenyaya ndope kutanga apa. Let's teach our people, our populace about non-violent resistance. Many people, they think kuita hasha, kuita violent, don't unzwikwe. No. Munzwa uri mundove unobaya kudarika munzwa uri pachena. Because uri pachena unogona kuya wakapfeka boots. But uri mundove autombozva kuti mune munzwa. Though the beauty of non-violent resistance. You will not be beaten because you'll be doing it silent with those methods. Also, we need to understand something that is called power, as I learned. The regime, as they wake up every day, they want to be in power. They want to maintain power. There are methods that they use, there are tactics that they use for them to maintain power. Havana way because they just want to be in power. So we need to understand these people. When they're exercising power, what do they do? When they're sanctioning us, when they're putting propaganda to us, what are these that are doing? What is this that is coming to us? Even this CAB3 is just power maintenance. Even the killing of people is just power maintenance. Even sanctioning us that you cannot talk about CAB3 is power maintenance. If we understand these things, then we'll be able not to be worried about these things. We'll be able to move on and be proactive instead of being reactive. We are very weak when we are reacting to something. Even those who do martial art, they know that when you are attacking, you are at your weakest. If somebody is advancing to you, attacking you, that person is weak. So we need to be proactive. We need to step forward before someone starts stepping to us, stepping away. That's proactiveness. So this is what I want to leave with you, Zimbabweans. I'm not discouraging anyone. Everything that you are doing, it has to be connected. From kudhara kwakatanga resistance. Takabatanidza zvese. Kwete kuti you want to say, vakatadza pakati, they should have done this. No. Take over from there, from where our forefathers left in resistance. Resistance in Makuwa, I will not lie to you guys. Non-violent resistance, you can be killed. Non-violent resisted, you can be beaten. But it's not for cowards and for those that are of weak heart. Non-violent resistance, the beauty of it, you can save yourself from being killed if you use the method correctly. If you're not doing it as a microwave solution, you do it over time. Thank you, Zimbabweans. I love you. Many thanks.
Right, thank you. Is it Zorro?
Yeah, yes, it's Zorro. Yes, it's Zimbabwe Human Rights Organization.
Oh, thank you very much for coming through.
That's thank you very much for putting me on. I just wanted the last chapter says don't want to put anyone off, but yeah, I think I might. Now, as far as I'm concerned, CAB3 is undeniably a major assault on any chance of democracy whatsoever. And in fact, ZANU-PF, they don't want democracy. But in addition to CAB3, we've got the Patriot Act. We've got the social media crushers now. And in the UK, we've got ZANU-PF UK and Europe, which is part of the Harare setup. And they are lobbying our idiot government. And I use the word idiot advisedly because they've taken it hook, line and sinker. They're basically giving up any form of pressure on ZANU-PF for lithium, obviously. But they're collecting names, okay? They're collecting names. There's a list out today on newzimbabwe.com, 50 names, including people from Ireland and the UK, 50 names. And all of those will be charged under the Patriot Act, which makes them liable for arrest if they ever return to Zimbabwe. This is not just an assault on democracy. This is an assault on the entire Zimbabwean nation. And it can't be denied that this is an appalling aberration that we're going through. Now, at the moment, as I say, there's a lot going on. We thank Chennai for organising the 18th, and it'll be on the Monday. I'm sure the embassy will shut their doors because they're scared witless of any protests. We're going to be there on the Friday, and they will do the same. But there are some interesting things that are happening in the UK. They've just discovered, and they've really gone to town on it, something called transnational repression. Get that? Transnational repression. That is, and this is perfect for ZANU-PF because we've noticed it at least over the last 10 plus years. When they're pestering you, they're naming you, they are telling you can't do this, you can't do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's everywhere with ZANU-PF. That is why they've got a ZANU-PF UK and Europe. It is a lobbying arm of the regime in another country. They're already ahead. I noticed the previous chap had mentioned, what we're going to do after CAB3. Well, I've already got a website with Beyond CAB on it. I only did that on the 30th of April, but yeah, we've got to think about Beyond CAB. This is not going to go away. ZANU-PF are not going to give up easily. At the same time we're doing all this, we've got Tino, what's his name? The guy with the Rolls Royce. He's going to be in Birmingham, UK, helping a group of Zimbabwean achievers. But why is he really there? Propaganda, photo shoots, saying that the diaspora is fully behind CAB3. It's flipping obvious. But we've already hit our government, we've hit all the different departments of our government to say this guy shouldn't be allowed in the country. This was the same with Auxilia Mnangagwa arriving last year for the FLAIR summit. We stopped that. She didn't turn up. And I hope this guy won't turn up. But even if he does, it's just another attack by ZANU-PF. So transnational repression, is a reportable offence now in the UK. So we have got a paper we're submitting to the UK government, evidence from the last 10 years of people who have been pointed out, victimisation, including myself. And by the way, I'm a British citizen, born and bred. I've been named in Zimbabwean papers. Apparently, I pay every supporter at our events £50 each, and I sleep with every woman that goes to our demos. If only, if only. But that's not the case. But so this is people like Dr. Masimba Mavaza, who writes. He's an acolyte of ZANU-PF. He's not an officer, but he's like a fan. He's like a groupie for ZANU-PF, and he writes these outrageous things. However, all of this is going to be collated as evidence. He's now writing to say all this activity we're doing in the UK and elsewhere is being monitored, recorded. And I believe them. They will do something about this. And if it means no one can ever go back to Zimbabwe, well, that's Zimbabwe's loss. But ZANU don't care. They've got control of a country and all its resources, and they're just filling their boots. I'll leave it there because it can be depressing, and I'm not a great fan of passive resistance myself. But I will leave it there. Thank you very much for sparing me some time.
Can I just quickly ask a question there? You mentioned that there was a list of 50 names. Where do we find that list?
I've posted it on our platform. It's on New Zimbabwe. It came out today, but it's a repeat of the previous list that was done at the end of our walk up in Blackburn. I think on either the 29th or the 30th of April. But it's virtually the same list, but they've added a few people from Northern Ireland on that list. But it's there now on our Facebook, on our Twitter site. I've got a link to it there, but I can post it to you directly, Chennai.
Oh, this was Rubimbo, but yeah, no. If you can share it in the chat, but also go onto your platform. So, is the understanding that this list was created as a red list for individuals who are coming against CAB3?
Oh yes, and anything. In fact, anything. The list that was done at the end of April we did a walk for freedom in Blackburn, 50 of us, and those people were all named. So it's any activity where, and this is the Patriot Act again in force, any activity which apparently challenges the regime is considered to be an offence, no matter where in the world it's committed. And this is the issue. Yeah, but I've already posted it on, you can make posts on the platform for the chat. I've made a couple of posts on there and the link to the New Zimbabwe material.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, over to you, host and co-host.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Uncle.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate the contribution. Mdaraji Mataura, did you say something?
No, I didn't say something, but there's Tinoma Chagaire coming for the Zimbabwe Achievers Awards in Birmingham. I don't know how and what can be done by Zimbabweans because he's a proponent or a supporter of CAB, well, like any Zan person. And thanks to Zoro, he did mention that last time they blocked Auxilium Nangagwa from coming. Can you in the diaspora please act on this? And this information is real, it's authentic. If you go on to Zimbabwe Achievers Awards, they are trying to go around in that manner and fashion to quite a number of countries, and then they want to show it as if people in the diaspora are supporting CAB3. So you guys are being put to test. And, if I know Chennai and other people had a demonstration at the Strand the other day, which was very successful. I'm not sure how we can come together outside politics and pressurize the region and pressurize the international community as well. There are things that came in. You remember, I asked Comrade Monzora what they would do presented with the opportunities that came in. And immediately after that, when Cyril went back to South Africa, trouble began. EFF was waiting for him with a judgment by the Constitutional Court. We've got a huge opportunity, Zimbabweans, to lodge our case and to come back without this CAB3. But it's all on what we need to do as people. And I must commend you so much, Ango Jeda. You posted something, an audio by a lady in ZANU-PF, an ex-combatant or a freedom fighter. That audio, if you listen to it all the way through, you can see there's implosion in ZANU-PF. There's proper implosion in ZANU-PF. If you look at what happened at Pickup Farm, if you look at what Geza and Comrade Knox have been all about, We just then need to sit down as Zimbabweans and to come up with that stroke strategy to 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 unseat ZANU-PF. There's also a shaky government in South Africa at the minute. You saw the DA is not going to support their GNU partner, but I know Gayton Mackenzie is going to support, but that's a very small party. And then you've got Umkondo Sizwe and you've got EFF, and we need to engage those people. We definitely need to engage those people. That's why I was thinking if the diaspora had to come up with a sort of pressure group, raise funds, or we raise funds together, we make presentations in those countries or representations in those countries, then things would be very, very, very easy. Because in Southern Africa, or if you want, in Eastern Southern Africa, there's only one person that is seeking to extend their stay in office in the brazen wrong way the Zimbabwean government is doing. And that alone also is a plus on our part, but we need to sit down and think how we can move forward with this post 2030. I don't think there will be any post 2030, to be honest. It won't be. I don't know, because I don't think there would be. Justice Malaba, or Chief Justice Malaba, is retiring on the same date as this constitutional case, or rather constitutional amendment bill case, is going to be heard. And I'm also told the interdict that Prince Tobacco Sibanda also had presented. We were talking actually earlier on, and he was telling me is going to be heard on the same day as well. So there are two cases that are going to be heard on CAB3, and then the arguments follow. I am also not very sure, because you see, the generals made a very, 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 very strong letter to the president, telling him, I mean, the facts were the generals staged the coup. Mnangagwa was nowhere near. They staged the coup. Mnangagwa was nowhere near. Never mind, he had run away, had been chucked out. But even if he was here, there's no way Mnangagwa would have actually influenced anything that would have made soldiers go in and get president. And when they did that, they gave, in good faith, a civilian person, a civilian leader, to avoid the world labeling it a coup. They gave to Mnangagwa. And that was just that. And when they had given Mnangagwa, look at this. That's why I'm saying our case is very simple and very easy. What we need is to get into the heart of people in ZANU-PF also that support, and destabilize those that are in support. Those that don't support are the military. Because the military took this and gave it to Mnangagwa, and look at what that they are doing now. And the person who was the architect, if you want, or who was at the top that time, is General Chiwenga. And that same General Chiwenga, you've seen him being humiliated like people, I mean, by people like Themba Mliswa, with no restraint from the president who is a beneficiary, the president who was given. And look at how painful it is if you want to see the pain in the army, whether it is General Matatu, General Valerio Sibanda, or General Chiwenga, or General Sanyatwa. These guys are pained because Etagwire is someone who is a non-entity at the end of the tale, is now being, even the mention of Tagwire is an insult, a direct insult to the army. But now the question is, how do we use that as Zimbabweans? There are so many opportunities that have been presented, especially if you know what's going on in Zimbabwe, to the extent some members of the army will phone you and tell you that things are like this. And I will tell you that's exactly where things are. The army does not need to know, understand, or say, articulate what happened. But what they know is that General Chiwenga, in a humble manner, submitted himself to the people, and he gave the baton stick to Mnangagwa. Now Mnangagwa, in an unashamed manner, he goes right nowhere. He then sets up a kitchen cabinet. And you can see members of ZANU-PF are not happy. They are not happy because their positions are being displaced by money. Wicknow has even changed the house of God into money laundering and other things. He actually is mesmerized and he has come up with a lot of things and went via Apostle Faith and some other church, small little churches. You know, in Africa, there are so many churches more than the industries. Those small little things have been also influenced by money. So we have got an opportunity as Zimbabweans. And starting off with the diaspora, there's Tinoma Chakaira coming, who is a very prominent youthful minister. He needs to be embarrassed in Birmingham. We should organize, we should mobilize, we should actually dress him down. We should make sure that even the event does not proceed because they want to tell people that CAB3 is being supported. You know, they're very fast in this. And we also should make representation to these. I mean, European Union as well as the number 10 Down Street or both opposition and ruling party in the UK that they should stop entertaining ZANU-PF. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate. Mangisi, do you want to come through? Mangisi? All right. You seem not to be here. Is there anyone else, guys, wants to speak? It is now...
Yeah, I'm around.
Okay, take the mic.
Yeah, I'm following the discussion with great interest. Yeah, you know, you are really facing a very serious crisis. For my own observation, I would think that this CAB3, yeah, it's not like I'm pouring cold water to any effort, but my own practical observation is that it will go through Parliament, and indeed, Emerson Mnangagwa will sign it. That is what is going to happen, because as far as the situation is concerned, there is no that organization or that movement or that capacity from citizens, because you see, this thing took a long time to be schemed. I remember when this 2013 Chipo started to be said, it was, I think, before 2020 elections. And the strategy to capture Triple C and to use Chabango was a long-range strategy to use.
Mangis, the topic here, what we are talking about is a form of action that is going to be happening on the 18th. And we are trying to encourage people to engage, in that, in that. I think, was way past, this trying to take us back to say, oh, this is going to be passed. This is the actions that people are doing. They are meant, to put a stop to that, reality. We understand if these guys do what they want to do unchecked, they'll go on and do what they want to do under the sun. But we want to get to a point whereby we engage in conversations where we're encouraging each other to say, look, this is what these people are capable of doing, and this is what they can do. But let us put pressure. Let us do what we can in our small communities, wherever we are, to try and stop this from becoming a reality. That right there, we've spoken about it. We know about it. But if we continue now to want to take us back there and say, oh, this, I don't think, it will be a waste of time to continue to be having such, these conversations, to be honest. Because we are resigning our facts. I mean, we are resigning to the fact that we are saying, oh, no matter what we try to do, they can do whatever it is that they want. But this time around, we are saying, let us put pressure. I don't think, there's been any pressure that's been put on them, which we are trying to sustain. Because we have not been in this territory. So we want to be positive about it. I don't know if you're getting me.
I'm getting you loud and clear.
Yeah. So let us encourage each other. I think we should be talking about the strategies that we should be employing right now. What are we supposed to do? What can we do? There are things that have been spoken about. right? To say, oh, we know how these people can turn an event into an opportunistic thing for them to want to spread, propaganda. And we are being told that, there's this ZAA thing, that is, that is going, to be happening. Instead of us, lamenting and crying over spilled milk or, or spoiled milk or spilled milk, we should be talking about, so what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to be creating a petition, right now to say, this person is not supposed to be here because we know what this is how they end up behaving. Because it is a propaganda war, with them. Look at Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa, when Ramaphosa came, what was the message that came out that came out from Prika Farm? The message was like, oh, Ramaphosa is coming, to say no one is going to do this, no one is going to do this. We will not allow that. But was that, the message? Was that what happened? We are now finding out that that is not what happened. So we should be finding ways of fighting against such kind of misinformation, because this is, this is how, they gain traction. You've heard some folks, saying that, they are well ahead, and they get well ahead as a result of propaganda messages like the ones that were peddled when Ramaphosa, came through. So everyone will be thinking, so if Ramaphosa is coming, the biggest, economy in the southern, region, in SADC, so if he's rubber stamping this, so then it means that, we are on our own. And yet that is not, the reality. They are trying to create a false picture here. And it's time, we get to the bottom of it and make sure that, we get to be ahead of them as well. Anyway, that is what I wanted to say.
Okay, I've heard, most probably I was turning around and going back and forth. So let me try to focus on now and forward. Yeah, my observation and thinking is, it's good for people to do the petitions, be it when there are programs and so forth and so forth. However, as we look into this political crisis, my thinking is that the generals, if they've got something on their sleeves, one way or another, we equally need to support an approach whereby this dynasty is stopped. Because you see, the whole matter is to consolidate power and to make sure that when the constitutional order is done away with, is to close the space for any other action. So, to me, the generals, if they've got something on their sleeves, people have reservations on Chiwenga and so forth, but I really believe, in terms of practicality, that line of thinking must be supported, whereby we support a scenario whereby we don't just stop it, but you see, people who behave like this, they need to actually be removed. So it's not a kind of saying, to me, an operation is like this, but I will be of the opinion that it would be a legitimate measure to deal with this scenario, because the army and the security, they've got a responsibility to safeguard the nation. Because what we are seeing and unveiling in the country is something which will create waste troubles for us in the future. So the sooner that is stopped, the better. So I wanted to highlight the fact that even if it passes through parliament or is signed into law, I didn't want to pour cold water to say then we are done. But I wanted to highlight that the measure that will be required then to deal with such a kind of a people is to bring to the fore, to say what we now have is an illegitimate regime. Because the moment we have this treason around the constitution, we now have an illegitimate government. And the only way to deal with an illegitimate government is to use means and ways that of course, others will say passive resistance. It's okay for people to do nonviolent resistance. But at the same time, when we've got this kind of a scenario, I am of the opinion that people might call it a coup or whatever, but I sustain a measure in the direction that will involve the generals to correct what they did in 2017. Because the generals are the ones who brought this scenario upon the nation. They must deal with this scenario. Then we usher in a transitional phase period whereby we reform the system, we reform the nation to ensure that maybe in a few years to come, we have free and fair elections, we have a full democracy that will lead the nation forward. Because for now, honestly speaking, the way the terror networks are being built on the ground and so forth, they require the generals to correct that scenario. That is my thought.
Yeah, sure. I'm still recovering from what Doug said, to be honest, because even in my understanding, it seems I had even missed a very important point that Doug raised, which I'm still I'm still recovering, Uncle Jed. The fact that we could basically end up with, so if, for example, right, convince enough MPs, essentially he could just be president. I mean, guys, this is just so ridiculous. You literally could end up with any, the way that Chabangu came and the ridiculousness of Chabangu is like now they want to promote that into getting a president in. You could literally just get any random person. You can smell, you can hear sound, you can see, if you've got at least one of those senses, there's no way you can accept this. And unfortunately, when we stay silent, it equals acceptance. Even people will say, oh yeah, I don't agree with Mnanga, I don't. As long as you are not doing anything about it, you agree. That's what that means, right? We have to get to a place where we are ready to walk the talk, guys, because there's no way the whole country. I mean, I was on a space, that was being hosted by Scotty the other day on xenophobia. And of course, the guys that are the perpetrators of xenophobia in South Africa, they say, oh, go and fix your country and what have you. And obviously, there are 1,001 reasons we can push back on that. But equally, really, the onus is on us. We cannot outsource this. This is our battle to win. And sometimes you think like, I think Doug was talking about how, what happens and how the divine intervention and so on. But if you look at this precise moment that we are in and what is happening globally. Now, I said sometime last year, I was in a workshop in Mozilla. I was facilitating a workshop in Barcelona. And in that workshop, it was really focused on Black people. And the majority of Black people that were in that workshop were African American. And And so we were now talking about heritage and identity. And one thing that I really never experienced that privilege until I was in that moment is the privilege of saying, no, I'm Zimbabwean. I know where I come from. I can tell you about how we live in Zimbabwe. I can tell you because I have experienced it. It's not something I've read in a book. And when I was speaking to my colleagues who are, but even in their personal development, because they can only trace back so far. But for me, I can trace back and I can say my great, 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 this is where he lived, this is where I'm from, this is my totem, this is how they migrated. I've got that history and I know what it means and I've seen it. And so we need to think about our future in that perspective. We currently have a country where, I think is it nearly 13, 16 or whatever, 20% of the population is not there. And if things are going to get worse, what is going to happen? We'll just be raising our children so that they leave Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, actually, the development is just going further and further down the drain. Things are not getting better by any stretch of the imagination. Even okay, chaiyo, yaramba kutungira, they've tried to restructure, they've closed it. Okay, yatakakura tichiona as a brand in Zimbabwe. So we are really we have gone past the luxury of, I don't do politics, the luxury of this has nothing to do with me. So not that I'm very brave. Just as I say, this is affecting now all of us, all of our futures. Think about Zimbabwe 40, 50 years from now. Right now, we have children that are the first generation diaspora that were born and are being raised in the UK. And so we are slowly starting to get diluted as a people. But what is even worse is, unfortunately, the climate is not kind to that at the moment and going forward. They're not kind to migration. Things are changing. Even here in the UK, I never thought I would live to see a day where a party like Reform and everything it stands for can actually become the popular party. What is that saying about the UK environment and our neighbors that we see and talk to every day and shop with in the supermarket? You go to America, it's the same thing. You go to South Africa, it's the same thing. And these are the three key places where we are migrating to. We can no longer afford that luxury of thinking with Chango Gara, we're just going to be here because we're never going to belong. And sometimes maybe they are right when they're asking us, why are you here? Why are you not fixing your country? At least, okay, be able to say, I'm here, but I am fixing my country. I'm just here for a whilst that is happening. But guys, we had the protest on 18 April. Yes, it was well attended by our own standards. But if you consider that maybe we had about 100 people, and yet we must know that this time we mean business. We're not going to back down. If they go ahead and Zambia announces this on the 18th of May, on the 19th of May, we are going to be moving on to the next level of actually making sure that we don't accept. We are saying no to this. And this difficulty is it that I don't know what are these luxuries that lie to us, that tell us it's someone else's business. You stay at home. I don't know. But I'm really, really, my first prayer is not even that that ZANU-PF goes, my first prayer is that we become people of conscience that are moved. We are moved into action. You know, they say compassion crosses the street, right? And that charity begins at home. That is who we truly become, and that becomes our action. So, because Uncle Jet, that thing shocked me. I was like, what? I even had to go back to Doug in inbox. Doug, please, what are you saying? How do we get into that situation?
It's kind of scary. And also, you see, the way that they want to do it, there isn't even any transitional period.
Yeah,
That there is not clearly spelled out in that bill. How are we going to be transitioning from this to that?
exactly.
So this
Because
is
they
where
just want to turn on the switch and just say those happen.
those are Apple, and this
Aye,
is where
aye.
they want to be clever about it in terms of wanting this to happen now. So if this thing happens now before we get to the 6th of September, then don't be surprised to find out that if they speed this up, by the time that it gets to be signed, Emerson Mnangagwa can easily say I'm resigning.
Yeah, and then there'll
Eh,
be some rando.
Yeah,
Anongoya owns India president.
yeah, and then or the parliament will just say, oh, so now since we are now under this electoral system, we are going to choose the president in parliament, because under the CAB3 bill, it says that in the event of a leader dying or resigning or whatever, parliament then kicks in and chooses a leader. You can simply say I was just warming up the seat, so my 5 years are starting from September this year and end in 2030. Reforming the whole infrastructure in a way that is not according to international standards. So if people don't get that, if people don't see the chicanery, if people don't see the dishonesty in this thing, and you are right to point out what Doug said. I'd not even thought about it. I'd not even done the maths. But if you put the maths together in terms of what they want to do, the maths ain't nothing.
Mm.
And we end up getting a different creature that is worse than what they are trying to say, that we are trying to morph into this system. You can't morph into another system when 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 the four pillars of doing so are not there. Anyway,
And then what about us? My diaspora, we are the one holding up the country. They can say, I saw they see these things, investments. We want to do investments. We come to the London Stock Exchange in Dimutulu. We are diaspora. We want you to invest. Diaspora. Suddenly they remember there's a diaspora. We are invited to come.